Hi guys, it's a little bit raining outside, so this is the best time to make a video. We didn't talk statistics for a long time. Statistics is the proof for us DIY engineers that what we have built also really works. So let's look today into the data of 2022. How did our PV and battery systems perform, and also at the end maybe have a short preview what is to be expected for 2023, because there's a lot of changes here in Thailand which will help us very much that all of this what we have invested will come back. Okay, so let's go right into the tables and see what I can tell you here. So let's look into the data of the year 2022. Right away you will notice a yellow area here. And what is that yellow area? These 5 months here I was not here in Thailand. I was in Austria, as you remember. And all this data inside this yellow area is an average between the June and the December reading, right? Because I'm doing all my readings directly from the inverters. So when I'm not here, I cannot make a reading, and yeah, so that's why an average. So usually when I'm here at home, I'm making a reading every 30 days. And what you see here are 8 systems. So systems, generators, power sources. And all of those systems have an investment allocated. So I can also calculate how much they have earned and how the return of investment is on each of those systems. Let's just introduce all of those systems. So the first one is my off-grid system with the must inverter and the LiPo battery. And then I have 6 grid-tied systems. And number 8 is the AC power wall, which is also considered to be a separate system there. So how did the year 2022 look like? Altogether, we have generated 22 megawatt hours of solar energy. This equals to 62 kilowatt hours per day. 1 kilowatt hour was calculated in a value of 4.4 baht. So this is actually was not accurate anymore for the second half of the year, but they still kept the value a constant for the whole year. Especially by the end of the year, the prices for energy here in Thailand went up dramatically. So today we are standing at around 6 baht per kilowatt hour. So that's also a reason why the next year will be a much more profitable. So until the end of 2022, 4.4 baht per kilowatt hour, and that was summing up to about 73,000 baht, $2,500 US. The total investment until the end of the year was 718,000 baht. That is around 22,000 US. And of those 718,000 baht, we have already recouped 404,000 until now. So if we are looking into the energy flows, in the year 2022 we have used a total of 29 megawatt hours of energy. 12 megawatt hours have been imported from the grid and 5 megawatt hours have been exported to the grid. So you know, I have my own meter where I can look what is coming from outside, what is going to the outside. All my exports are free of charge for the utility, and what we cannot get from our system we have to import, of course, that have been by my metering 12 megawatt hours. But as you can see here, the utility only charged me for 11.5 megawatt hours. So why is this difference? This difference comes from the difference how the utility is metering and how I am metering, right? I have a meter which can only show me all energy which is going out is added up as export, and all the energy which is coming from the grid is adding up as imported. But the utilities, typically in a three-phase supply, they are metering a net total. So for example, if you have one phase exporting, two phases importing, they will calculate the total at that moment, the net total, and this will then be metered. So there's about 7% energy here which is metered in my favor. I said we have generated 22 megawatt hours by ourselves, and 16.6 of those have been used behind the meter right away. So the ratio of self-consumption by total generation is 75%. So 3/4 of the energy we produce, we also use right away behind the meter, which is great. And solar energy from our system compared to the total energy which we are using here on our property is 58%. So 58% comes from our solar system and the rest is imported, so our energy mix. How did the AC Powerwall change numbers? So the AC Powerwall last year has recouped almost 4 megawatt hours of energy. So it has captured 4.6 from the export, and this is then equals then to about 4 megawatt hours, which is then returned to our behind the meter grid then. So you have probably a question on your mind, and this is how did or does the system pay back till now? I have the graph here. So for your information, the oldest system is the off-grid system, and then I have here grid-tied, 6 grid-tied systems, and then the AC Powerwall is the youngest edition. So this is really chronological here, all these graphs here. So off-grid first, then 6 different grid-tied arrays, and then the last battery. And you can see here, so the first one and the last one, these are battery systems. They have, of course, the smallest bar here. Every bar is showing the percentage of investment recouped already. And yeah, those two battery systems, they are standing at the moment around 30%. So the off-grid systems, as you know from the last video, is about 5 years old. It would require probably another 10 years to pay back, and
this will never happen, I guess. I do not think that that system can run for another 10 years without having to invest again. But that's normal for battery systems. Battery systems typically have a different purpose, and the off-grid system in our case has also the purpose of an emergency power. Here for the lighting, etc., when the grid goes down, that we are not in the dark, and of course I can also use it in emergency situations when there's a storm or anything like that. The AC Powerwall is not as old, it's only about 2.5 years since I've started with that one, and it has also about 30%. The purpose of that battery is of course to increase our behind the meter consumption so that I can really use more solar energy on our property than it would otherwise be possible without a battery. But all the grid-tie systems, the four oldest systems, they are already all around 70% payback. And 70% payback is already actually where those systems break even by the energy which they have produced. If you would count that energy as 100% in value, then the money would actually already be recouped. But this is of course not the case. I am giving away 1/4 of the energy for free, and that's about the quarter which is missing for the payback, of course, right? But this, especially with the higher prices which have to be considered for the next year, when we are doing these statistics in a year, again, all these graphs here from these four grid-tied systems here will be very close to 100 already. So the payback will be finished probably in early 2025. The majority of the grid-tied system will already produce free energy for us. The other one, the more recent grid-tied systems, they have still a way to go. This one here, which is here around 35%, this is the very small one, which is always in shadows from something, right? And I had two microinverters here which were defect, which had to be replaced. So this area here is of course a little bit weak here in the numbers.
So yeah, as you just saw, we are on a very good track. The off-grid systems will soon come into the area where they will have paid back, and then they will help all the other investments like the battery systems also to recoup money from that side. And then at some point, maybe after around 8 years, all of this will then be just a so-called cash cow, and we will live on free energy coming from the sun. There's a big change this year, 2023. As I told you in the video, by the end of last year, the prices for electricity also here in Thailand exploded. So they went up around 30%, and they will stay now quite high for the first few months. Then the politicians, you know, they're already talking to lower the prices a little bit, but I'm not expecting too much. That's why the price for next year I have set for 5.8 Thai baht per kilowatt hour. So quite more than the 4.4 from before. And this will expedite the payback quite significantly. And most probably by the end of this year, first systems will already have reached the break-even point, also considering the energy we are giving away for free. Let us hope that everything is continuing running well. There's always small problems which needs to be fixed, but nothing too bad till now. So I hope you found this interesting. Please comment on the down what types of solar systems do you have, when and how fast do they pay back. Thank you for watching, and I see you next time.